Hello, it's Grant here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to an uncharacteristically sunny UK. We've been having some great weather in the UK at the moment, although at the moment it's early May, so we're still in lockdown because of COVID-19. But that aside, today I want to talk to you about something slightly different on this video, and it's about the top 10 Etsy sellers, and also just talk about Etsy, some stats as a business in general. Why is that relevant? I get lots of comments on the channel about I'm doing this amount, I'm doing this amount, is it worthwhile, can I make it a full-time business? And I think it's always good to understand where can it go, and also relate that back to number of sales, daily sales, and also country specifics. You know, we know Etsy is a huge e-commerce store, but what does that mean for you in certain countries? So I'm going to go through quite a bit of data today in some detail, but hopefully you're going to find all the information that I covered today very useful. So that's enough waffling for me. Let's get straight on with this video. So as I said, I want to talk about some of the Etsy stats, and I'll keep referring back to the laptop because I want to get the stats right and not just make them up. A lot of this information, if not all of it, is open source. It's publicly available information. I haven't gone out and done lots of calculations, got my calculator out or the abacus and started going through that information. I've just collected it from lots of different sources. So just a big caveat to that, this isn't my data, I haven't compiled it, and I'll put some more information down in the description where I got that information from if you want to cross-reference that. So I think the first part to talk about is Etsy as a whole, as a business. So last year, in 2019, so the last full financial year, they've done £818 million of turnover. Now that sounds like a gigantic amount, but don't forget, out of that, the turnover amounts for everything they're taking on behalf of their sellers. So out of that, they're obviously getting a small percentage, but it still equals a lot of money. But it's a huge business. The stats show 2012, there were 9.32 million active Etsy buyers across the world, across their whole platform. But that's a huge number. 2019, so last year, that rose to 45.7 million. So in 7 years, it's quadrupled, more than quadrupled. So what it shows you is the exponential growth of Etsy as a business, but it shows you the consumer marketplace. It's showing you that people are wanting to look at homemade items, handmade items, crafts, those sorts of items that clearly that's what Etsy's made for. And that's shown because, you know, recently Amazon have opened up their Amazon, I think it's called handmade, subsection of the Amazon store. So it's clearly well, I wouldn't even say a niche anymore, but it was a niche and it's now growing into the mass e-commerce market. Number of active sellers. So we've gone through the buyers, number of sellers. 830,000 in 2012. So just shy of a million almost. Switch forward to 2019 and it's 2.5 million. So that has gone up by over 1.5 million in 7 years. Growth on growth year on year, it's going at about 10 to 11% increase every single year. So this year, 2.5 in 2019. So another 10 or 11%, there'll probably be another 250,000 sellers or shops on Etsy platform, which again, just shows you it's huge numbers. How does that correlate down to country specifics, which is also really important? So in the US, as of today, which is the 14th of May 2020, 588,000, thereabouts, sellers. So if you've got an active sellers of 2.5 million, about a fifth of all sellers are US based. You've then got 80,000 in the UK, and then 7,300 in Spain. I've just picked the top country, the USA, and then two other countries, UK because that's where I'm based, and I have a lot of comments from people in Spain, so I thought I'd just cover those ones. So that's the top three. But what does that mean in terms of how many people are going to Etsy? What's the usage? How many people are actually going to the site? So it's the 90th top visited site in the world, the 90th. Now, 90 doesn't sound like a particularly small number, but if you think there are billions of websites, billions, I haven't done the numbers, but if you think of some of the sites that you visit regularly, they're probably more than the 90th visit in the world. You know, some of the sites that I look at, I think eBay's something like 22, so that gives you some kind of correlation. Walmart, I think, is 30 something. So it just shows you how big Etsy is and how many visitors it attracts. In the US specifically, it's the 33rd most visited website in the USA. That's just behind the likes of Walmart and Amazon and eBay and PayPal. Think of those huge names, Disney, those sorts of names that are household brand names that you can roll off your tongue, 10, 20, 30 of them. Etsy is one of those now. And what that correlates into the number of traffic, or the amount of traffic, is 290 million views last month. 290 million. That's a gargantuan number. But what's more interesting about that is that's increased by 40% from last month. So that's April stats, the last full month, 290 million. That increased by 40% from March. Why is that so significant? Clearly, with COVID-19 coronavirus, people are locked down and they're looking online now for more ideas, more purchases that can be delivered to their home. They can't get to their local supermarket, or they can, but it's an absolute ball ache. So they're looking at online different purchases, and they've come across, you look at the exponential growth, some of these Etsy numbers, and you'll see the trend has just really spiked really high, which is really good for the Etsy shops among us. Traffic-wise, out of all of the Etsy traffic, so out of that 290 million, 65% of that goes to the USA. My maths isn't particularly great, but that's somewhere about 150 million visits every single month. Behind that, we've got the UK again as the examples at 7%, so still a huge number. That's still around sort of 15 to 20 million visits every single month. Canada at 4.6%, and Germany at 3.32%. Why have I gone into that detail? Again, just going back to what I said at the top of the video, it's just to give you an idea of how huge Etsy is. And there is absolutely a place for you, your shop and your business on Etsy. If you can get that shop launched, get your products right, get the proposition right, offer great customer service, great products at a great price that perform well on SEO, then you will indefinitely succeed on Etsy. Now let's go to the top 10 sellers. And this is as of the 14th of May 2020. Number one is Planner Kate 1, who is a US-based business. She's done 1 million, well, just over a million sales, 1,035,052. And that equates to 489 sales a day. If you don't know Planner Kate, she's fairly famous in these circles, and she does printable or even sent to you planner inserts, stickers, everything to sort of manage your day. Really good store. Lots of fun stuff to be, really serious, to fun stuff to kids, practical productivity, a whole plethora of different products there. And I think her product range is equates to thereabouts, I would say $3.5 or $4, roughly speaking. So that's about $4 million in sales. So clearly, and as well, at 489 sales, you can't manage that on your own. Maybe she does, I don't know. I've got no affiliation with Planner Kate 1, and I've not done that much research into her, but at 489 sales, I relate that back to myself. If I was doing 489 sales, I couldn't manage that on my own. I would need another person or people to help me with that. But that gives you an absolute idea of where you can go. 1 million sales. I think her store's been open for 6 or 7 years. And that's 489 sales a day. On the daily sales, they will fluctuate and they may not correlate to the total sales, because the daily sales is an average based on how long the shop's been open. So that's important to remember. Number two is Beadboat 1, which is another US store, 641,498 sales. So that's about 2/3 of Planner Kate. So that's quite a significant drop, but still a huge number. Doing 306 sales every single day. Yakutum, I hope I've pronounced that right, actually in Turkey. So that's the third top seller on Etsy's platform from Turkey. 639,632, so just a smidge under Beadboat 1. and they're at 152 sales, so less than half daily sales, but again, it takes it on an average based on how long they've been on the Etsy platform. Mod Party in the USA, 624,889 at 258 sales a day. Again, I'm talking about extremities here, the very top 10 sellers in Etsy, but it's a great milestone, and it's really one to look at to think, I can get there. Nicole De Bruin, hopefully again I've pronounced that right, here in the UK, just shy of 600,000, 598,939 sales, so it's just on the cusp of 599,000 sales, and doing 155 sales a day. CL Beads in Canada, 558,243, which is an average of 130 sales a day. Caitlin Minimalist from the USA, 549, 764, 272 sales a day. And you'll see Beadboat One top position down all the way through here. Really what separates them is 100,000 sales, which is a huge amount, but they are quite close together. Number 8 is Jeweller's Paradise from the USA, 543,125, and that's 166 sales a day. Peggy Sue also from the US, 530,094, that's 530,094, 161 sales a day. And the last one is Yadana Beads from the USA, 523,616 at 108 sales a day. So Kate, just over 1 million, down to the 10, 523. So it's almost half of Planet Kate's sales at number 10, but still an absolutely huge number. And what I really hope this video has given to you is that real push to say, yes, it is worthwhile. And like me, like lots of other people, you will start out small. You may not do a single sale in month 1, month 2, month 3, but keep with the SEO, keep looking at your shop, keep adapting, keep promoting, keep sending those emails, looking at Pinterest, social media, Facebook, Instagram, all those different free platforms that you can use to promote your product, because it is absolutely worth it. Planet Kate won at 1 million sales. She didn't start off with 10 sales on day 1. She gradually built up over time, and you can do exactly the same. If you like this video, please do like the video, comments down below, subscribe with the bell notification icon so I can tell you when you get new content and new videos uploaded, and I'll see you for my next video.